Am I going to see anything there? I don't need to. Am I live? Am I live? QMI life. I don't know if I'm. Oh, yeah, I think we are. Hey, bud. First of all, I would like to say a hot thank you to Lewis Kenny 7 for the hot sub. I like hot subs, like meatballs and things like that. They're very tasty, and I appreciate you guys. We are here and we're live and we're gonna finally do the show. I'm sorry, that's my fault. We had some audio issues. I don't know why. Fresh Prince 2 months in a row, keeping the lights on. Thank you very much for the love that you guys bring. You like cold ones like the Italian sub. Now, I don't know about that one. A good Italian sub has to be, first of all, you don't call it sub. You call it a hero. What are you, from the Midwest? Get out of here. That's not what we do. But we finally got things together. As you can tell, FPL is live. Yeah, we had to wait till 4:20. That's when we really get live. That's exactly what time we went live today. 4:20, because this week is lit. I apologize to everybody out there that's listening or even thinking about listening. But we do have one of the more exciting weeks that we've had in a while, because the SPL is starting. I mean, that's why we all show up, isn't it? That's why we're all here. We're all here to talk about Smite Pro League and have some fun on the sidelines. But in general, we're doing all that. I got to tweet out. Oh, no. That's a nice tripod. Thanks, man. Now I got to tweet out again that we're Take 2 is live. There we go. Not Taken 2. This is not an illegal showing of Taken 2. But we're live nonetheless. It's 5:20. Well, then that sucks. 4:20 is the real time. Well, now it's 4:22. Smite Standard Time, SST. Taken to the streets. So we've got the SPL coming up. If you guys missed relegations, good for you. Burritos and Poppies get to stick around in Europe somehow. And in North America, we said goodbye to our two teams, and we said hello to the SPL Gatekeepers, which is a team featuring Pain to Beyond. And we said hello to A Mighty Storm, which is Uzzy and a bunch of dudes. So, it should be kind of interesting to watch these guys play. You know what my favorite Taken 2 joke is? The one that doesn't matter because Ron Jobber can't ban me. So, haha, computer guy in my computer. Get wrecked. Rectamundo. It's one of my favorites. It sounds like it's Spanish, but it's actually not. What's up, Light Infernal? What do you mean, speaking of Burrito 8 billion? Speaking of Burrito. Oh, right. We had some roster changes this week. I guess that's what we'll start off with. We'll talk about these roster changes that have happened for some unknown, ridiculous reason. I have no idea why. They got taken to the cleaners! Woo! Bam, 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 bam. If I had a button to make noises, I'd do it for you. RP Silk laying it down. Slam dunking. No chunking. All bunking. RP Silk, the man. Get wrecked. I liked it. That was fun. Roster change. Why? Elevate got rid of their mid laner. Her name was Nulissa, and she was a very good mid laner. They replaced her with Death Panther, who is not a very good mid laner. Like, just being objective here, I think with the eye test, actually, I might be able to find some statistics. But at the end of the day, I just was not... I am not thrilled with this change. I don't think that there is a fantastic reason behind this change. I think that there are... I just think that Nulissa is a better mid laner than what we saw out of Death Panther. If we take a look at season 4, right, And we look at let's just look at, what is this? Season 4 stats. This is Season 4 stats minus bad teams. Well, if we want to include Burrito, I guess I should click on Season 4 stats. Shout out to the stat man who created the separate spreadsheet. Season 4 stats minus bad teams. That's always fun to look at. So I want to look at players, and I want to look at, let's just look at KD. Okay, we'll sort the sheet. It's gonna take a minute. She had no synergy with the duo? What? With Jermaine and Dardes? I don't know about that one. It's unfair to compare her with Panther. No, that is not how that works. No, that is not how that works. You don't get to say it's unfair to compare players because they play on different teams. That's a silly thought process. I understand the mindset behind it, but I think it's ridiculous. So Nulissa is, when it comes to KDA, which is not the best, but let's just start there. Nulissa was number 41, probably number 40 or something, out of players with a 120, 1.20 KDA. Death Panther has a 0.23 KDA. Okay. Let's take a look at GPM, perhaps. Is GPM a good barometer? I wish there was. We don't have experience per minute, but GPM is also a good barometer. Let's go here. Let's give it a second, and let's look for Nulissa. Nulissa averages 454 GPM, and Death Panther averages 390 GPM. Let's look at deaths, perhaps. Deaths, maybe we'll say deaths are skewed because Nulissa plays an overly safe character in Giannis. Maybe that's a good idea. But let's just do it anyway. Nulissa has 56 deaths, and Death Panther has 114 deaths. I could go on, but I think the fact of the matter is that one player's stats are average to above average. The other player's stats are below average. Now, if you're looking at chat, you can see that Nika is sitting here saying she had no synergy with the dual lane. Trust me, I've spoken to them a lot about this decision. It was 100% needed, regardless of whether Nulissa is better or not. Master QQ, whoever he is saying comparing deaths with a team that was one win away from DreamHack and a team with one win the whole split just doesn't make sense to me. Like, you're on a winning team, you'll have better GPM, XPM, no matter what. Right, but the spread is what you're talking about. You can be on a bad team and not get murdered 10 times a fucking game. That's true. Then there's also the eye test, which I can't, do here. But watching the games, Nulissa played a much better mid lane than Death Panther. Straight up. Now, I don't know the players behind the scenes, and I implore Nika to actually tell us what goes on, because publicly, Nulissa and Dardes get along swimmingly. They're making jokes on Twitter. They're playing together on stream. Nulissa's been streaming. That's also a heads up. Players don't give a shit about that, but orgs will. And y'all should probably start caring about what orgs care about, since we're heading into the next chapter of the Smite Pro League, where all that's going to matter, and you're not going to be able to sit on your hands and do nothing. You actually got to do stuff. And having a player on your team that does stuff and isn't bad is good. I'm not saying you get a shitty player that sits in solo lane and doesn't do anything all day just so he makes your YouTube videos. But that is part of the conversation now. I'm just putting it out there. Just saying. Ron Jobber with the always fresh, just blatantly deft take. Showing you the opposite. He's being sarcastic. That's what I'm getting at. It's unfair to compare a player and the player replacing them. That is essentially what you guys are saying. I think it's 100% fair to compare, because that's exactly what they did to replace the character, right? I hope the new Lisa gets a slot because it's the second time I feel like she's been kicked off of a team, the same team, for curious reasons. Maybe new Lisa is a huge douchebag behind the scenes. I don't necessarily think that is true. I don't think that is true. I know new Lisa, let's say, moderately well. We're not best friends, BFFs, AE, but we're also like not people that pass each other in the hallway and say, huh. Right? She comes to land. We talk a decent amount. I like that girl. She's got a cool dog. It's a long-haired dachshund. Gotta love him. Oh my God, Danny, you made that an emote? But my point being is that knowing her a little bit, I don't think that she's marching into scrims and saying, do it my way or I'm out. I'm the Wicked Witch of the Finland. Like I don't think that's actually happening. I don't think the new Liz is extraordinarily difficult to play with. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, this is conjecture. Because she has been booted from the same team twice. And that is something to think about, I suppose. But I guess when we look at the constants there, you're talking about Jermaine, you're talking about Dardes, because the right side of the map, no numbers and Cherio are newer. Remember, Fails was there, and then Fails isn't there. When we're talking about the two separate times she was kicked, is what I'm mentioning. And so, with that in mind, I mean, is it Jermaine? Like, what is it? Because she seems to get along with Dardes perfectly fine. And we had Nika in here saying it was her relationship with the duo lane that needed to go. Is Jermaine a better player than Nulissa? Probably. But now here's the awkward math. Here's the awkward math. It sounds like Jermaine is the reason that Nulissa's not on the team. Now we're playing with rumors, we're playing with what ifs, but judging from how well Nulissa seems to get along with Dardes publicly, one can assume that it's going to be Jermaine because Nika told us that it had to do with the duo lane, right? So now we have this odd math problem, right? Is Jermaine a better player than Nulissa? I like the phrasing that Maester QQ says. Is Jermaine more valuable to the team than Nulissa? And I would argue yes. But how much more valuable to the team is Jermaine than Nulissa? In the sense that will the replacement of Nulissa with a much worse individual, I think the change from Nulissa to Death Panther will be a noticeable change and be a negative change, one that you can notice. The gap between those two mid laners, Nulissa and Death Panther, will it be larger or smaller than the gap if Jermaine had been replaced by a different hunter? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And I don't think they did that because I don't think that this team has that much foresight. I think they just said, well, Jermaine doesn't like Nulissa, or Jermaine doesn't like Nulissa. Jermaine's better than Nulissa. Let's boot her. Maybe it'll work out. I don't think it will. I think it's a little, I think it's very curious, and I think it's interesting that they couldn't. This is the type of deal that won't work in the future. This is the type of stuff that isn't going to happen in Season 5. Because you're going to have to deal with players that you don't like. It's going to be like a professional environment where you have to work with people you don't necessarily enjoy. That's how life works, bud. I've had jobs in the past that I've despised my boss or my coworker or whatnot. And it might bring the level of work down, but we both acknowledge that we're good at what we do. And so you shut up and you deal with it to bring the level of work back up. I think an office environment is a poor analogy, but I've definitely been in that scenario when, as an artist, I'm an artist, right? I'm a musician. I make music. I'm an actor. I've been in stage productions. I was the lead in Greece, and my co-star Sandy hated me. Couldn't deal with me whatsoever. Shout outs. That's Evie, by the way. We're friends now. We were, in our teens, right? We were like 16, 17. But for what it's worth, if you let me brag for a second, our production was like top notch. We were on like the news and shit. We were a big deal, right? So she hated me. I really didn't hate her, right? But she hated me. But in order to make the show good, she shut the fuck up and made it and just tried her best and kind of sat on it, right? Like that's how you do it. That's how you do it as a professional. That was me at 16. Elevate gets worse with Death Panther versus Nulissa. Full stop. Ain't nobody telling me otherwise, and nobody is going to prove otherwise. That is just the fact of the matter. We went through the stats, and I understand that the stats are not immediately translatable because of the circumstances surrounding these two individuals, good team versus bad team, but at the end of the day, those stats don't have to be as drastic as they were. You just sort of deal with that, and you swallow your pride, and you work with somebody that you don't necessarily like, because the product will be better than anything else. That's how you handle stuff like that. And if you aren't mature enough to deal with that, perhaps you are not mature enough to be in this scenario. I don't understand that. Elevate right now, I saw somebody ask, I think it was Maestro QQ, do I think they had a chance to make regionals with Nulissa? Absolutely. You've got Energy, Obey, Rival, Elevate as the big Dignitas. That's the one I was missing. You've got Energy, Obey, Rival, and Dignitas as the big boys. Elevate is the number 5 team. If something explodes, they can sneak in there. I think that there's a chance, admittedly small, that they make regionals as a top 4 team with Nulissa on the roster. I don't think there's a chance whatsoever with Death Panther on the roster. VAC are a number 5 team. We'll see. Not from what we saw last year. I think that VAC and Elevate with Nulissa are on the same level of competition. I think that at the beginning of the season, it looked like VAC was going to be a higher level, but we did not see that sort of play. I think with Death Panther, VAC becomes the number 5 that can sneak in there and take the stuff. I understand they were literally 5th seed. I'm not talking about their the literal stats, bro. You guys love to cling to stats when it serves you well. And then you love to tell us that stats are irrelevant when it doesn't. I just think that's funny. Oh, here comes Sean Landa George here. If I play devil's advocate for a second, nobody likes you. What if they're scrimming and playing and working towards the start of the season 4 fall, and they're not working, they're dropping to lower seeded teams, they're back in Marino Popular, the change not worth it, the fact your team is just bad performing. No, you stick it out. They've been doing this for a year. That's just how that works. I go back to the idea that you just sort of stick to, sometimes you have to swallow your pride. Do Jermaine and Nulissa fight? You spend half the time playing the game, and then when you're off the court, maybe try and fix that relationship. Why are they fighting? Why I think that it's very silly to go to Death Panther. If there was a person that was better than Death Panther to replace Nulissa with, I'd be down. If you took one step backwards, I'd be down. Multiple steps, I don't like that. I think that is not correct. I think that is objectively wrong to take that to fall that far down. If you replace Nulissa with, I'm trying to think here. Give me a mid laner. If you replace Nulissa with Heroine on a bad day. Heroine's a streaky player. Heroine on a good day, I think, is better than Nulissa. Heroine on a bad day is a little bit worse than Nulissa. If you replace Heroine on a bad day, Nulissa with Heroine on a bad day, I'm fine with that. You're taking half a step backwards, if that. A step backwards, if that. If you replace Nulissa with Snoopy mid lane, I'm okay with that. You're talking about one step backwards. Lobster's a much better mid laner than Nulissa. Incon mid. We're talking about not that many step backwards. If you replace her with somebody one step backwards to fix an interpersonal problem, I'm down, and I've said that many times that interpersonal, like, that's part of playing on a professional team. But I don't think Death Panther is anywhere near the mid laner that Nulissa was. And I think that Elevate are accepting the fact that they will not make super regionals and they will not go to worlds. They are just accepting that. This move, the move away from Nulissa to Death Panther, is telling the world that they do not have faith in themselves to topple the top 4 teams in Europe, which is a tall task, but they are effectively cashing their chips in, folding before the first hand is dealt. And I think that is a shitty look. I think that they are a better team than that. I think that they could have surprised some folks. And I think that the win-loss record that they would have had with Nulissa at the middle lane would have been much more impressive for fans at home. And it would have been much more impressive to the teams watching. But with this change to Death Panther, they're giving up. And they're saying, you know what? Those other guys are going to win. Those other guys are going to do it. Go ahead. I don't think Cherio would make a change. You didn't think it would be sure, but Cherio joined this team before Nulissa was swapped out. I don't know. I don't know anything about that situation, but that is what this move tells the general public. That's what this move is telling the general public. Players always play good in scrims. You remember Vesalius? Vesalius is the proud owner, maybe not proud, of the official. He is the official player that has been soloed the most in SPL history. The amount of deaths that he has suffered that do not include an assist is higher than anyone else in the entire SPL. He is known for being one of the better players in scrims. Irens, a good friend of mine, sometimes. Not a very good player, also known for going off in scrims. Scrims do not always translate to pro league play on the individual level. On a team level, that's what you do them for. But he got a quad against TSM. Hey, it's true. So I don't know about the whole, like, well, in scrims they do this. Yeah, you know what I do in scrims? I am in my scrims. I am the coolest. I am in platinum. I wear all the freshest gear, and I'm 110 pounds of raw muscle in scrims. Scrims don't mean anything. Get out of here. Nerves, sure. Scrims and SPL play are a different world. Ask any pro league player. Just how that works out. Dislike the move away from Nulissa. You know what else is cool, though? Hard pivot. The caster. Hey, do I have a way to show a video of the caster? Am I being filmed right now? You're filming me right this second, aren't you? I like this one. You ever see this one, chat? Where you wind it up, and it grows into the middle finger. This is an offensive gesture. It's really funny. I like to do that. But I really wanted to show you the commercial for the caster. I can't. I'll at least play you the audio. How about that? The caster, high res. Is this going to work? No, that's so you think you can cast. The caster, meet the judges. No, let's meet the judges. But we can go to the caster. Don't they have a channel for the caster? Is it youtube.com/the caster? Is this it? No, that's not it. I don't know what this is. I don't want to play the audio from this. It's like in the dark. But in any event, the caster will be airing tomorrow. Holy, I didn't even realize. No, September 6th is the caster. So the inspiration for the caster, I think, So there was a show called So You Think You Can Cast. Here's the official trailer. We have 57 seconds of audio. Let her rip.
Esports is the new hotness.
That's
Just
me.
as important as the players and coaches are the commentators, translate and highlight the story for the audience. And it's a fun job, but it's tougher than it sounds.
A live aggressive roll, and she gets asses right there.
I have no idea how you did
That's
that.
Hindu Man.
It doesn't matter how you try to
That's
hit
a
them,
contestant.
if nothing lands.
There's just something
That's
about
Kelly.
you that we all love.
We've had thousands of submissions,
That's me.
and we whittled it down to 10. And compete for an opportunity at Fame, Fortune, and the opportunity to cast Hi-Res Studios' HRX Smite World Championship. And win
$10,000.
The stage has been set.
The players are ready.
That's the Ron
Everyone
Jumper.
wants this job. It's yelling about video games.
That's me.
Sick him, boy.
That's
Oh,
Merlot.
amazing damage.
He's a
We're gonna see
contestant.
who comes out on top.
That's me again.
And who is the caster?
And there's like a big picture that says the caster premieres September 6th, which is tomorrow. It's absolutely. Oh, I want to cancel this one. It's gonna be actually really sick. Can I be on the caster? Says Fayliz, like 20 months after we opened people to be on the caster. So I've seen a lot of misinterpretations of what the caster actually is. The winner will be hated by Reddit no matter what. Yes, probably. No matter who the winner is, it's going to be miserable. But so, the caster, there seems to be a lot of like misrepresentation. So last year, So You Think You Can Cast, which can we just establish how terrible that name was a show that I think basically flew people out to Worlds, and we were like, you're getting a job or some shit. I don't exactly remember what that whole deal was, but it was. To say that it was low budget in comparison to what we're doing this time around is the understatement of the year. Essentially, what the caster is this time around is a full-fledged reality TV show. Well, TV, I guess, is pushing it. That's the platform. But it's a full-fledged reality show. Like, we're talking multiple dudes carrying cameras. I guess they're called cameramen. And, like, post-production and, like, actual real stuff. Last year, So You Think You Can Cast, or whatever year it was that we did So You Think You Can Cast, it's not like, last year they didn't try. It was, you make stepping stones, right? So last year it was like Skype with Pecky's operating a computer in the background and Hindu Man sitting on a desk with DM Brandon, right? Like, and we did it live, and some of it were like, it was sort of the proof of concept or like a shot, and then although the idea of a talent search is not exactly the most original idea on the planet. Let's just put that straightforward. But then as we look towards the caster, right, this is a much bigger production. Like I said, to make an understatement. The guys have been working on this diligently and incredibly hard for weeks. Filming was really dope. Just to put it out there, I host it. I think we sort of like said it. I didn't get a fancy intro video like all the contestants. I host the damn show. I ain't get no video. I guess I'm okay with that. But I'm hosting it, which is pretty sweet. Our judges, who also got a video, Hindu Man, Golden Boy, and Kelly Link. Our contestants, who you saw, are pretty sweet. Hydratic Mid says, do you think the caster will have an impact on Smite Esports? If so, how? What is the reason for creating this event? What is the reason for creating this event makes me laugh. Why do we need a reason to create cool content? I don't understand this question. Like, why does that need, why does there have to be a reason to make good things? Why does any artist make art? Why did Michelangelo create? I'm getting too lofty even for myself. But like that question to me is just so question mark. Like, why did we create the caster? Sounds like very strange to me. I don't know. It's fun. It was really neat. Or as I'm a Rich Man says, to fuck bitches. Yes, that is why we created the caster. 100%. Michelangelo got paid to do it. Shit. Actually, yeah. Most of the time. I wasn't talking about the Sistine Chapel. Maybe I was talking about one of Michelangelo's earlier works. How about that? Art is incredibly profitable, says the individual that has never tried to be an artist. I am legitimately laughing at you right there, right now. Tell that to me between the ages of 19 and 24, please. And my empty-ass bank account. That is what we would like to know. So again, misconceptions. It is a reality show that includes commentary. People are looking for, or the show is going to put the 10 contestants through a myriad of commentator and commentary related trials and tribulations. $10,000 and a trip to HRX will be on the line for the winner. So there's, absolutely, that's the goal of these people. It's not that they're going to, get a job or do any sort of thing. Like, people seem to think like, oh, the winner is going to replace F. because he sucks. No, that's not the case. It's $10,000. It's like a reality show. The Zach Dick is not a contestant. Is one commenting while Hindu Man insults the person? No. Hindu Man was actually, and here's a little bit of a spoiler. It's funny because Hindu Man came in, and the first Meister. We're not talking about that right now. You can we'll talk about it later. Hindu Man came in the first day and was wearing a shirt that said Savage and was leading up to this. Hindu Man was like, oh boy, I'm going to be so mean. I'm the English boy. I'm going to be Simon Cowell. He was so amped to being the bad dude. He was like, I'm going to be so mean to these guys. And then you have 10 contestants trying their hearts out, and they're like, all right, so what do you think, Mr. Hindu Man? He was like, I think everyone is so good. All of you could get a job right now. Oh, I can't believe how talented every single one of you are. And I'm sitting there like, bruh, weren't you supposed to be mean? He's like, I think that I am a mean British man. And I was like, no, dude, it's not. You're not doing it. And he really wanted to be mean. We're talking the month leading up to filming. He was like, oh, I can't wait. I'm going to be so mean. I'm so mean. And so it's I think it's very funny how he just couldn't pull it off. Those are real people. And being savage in real life is, I don't know. I guess it's not for everybody. Moving on from Hindu Man, though, the contestants really they were really interesting. They really kind of surprised everybody. You want me to do my Fails accent? I could do my Danny Fails accent if you'd like. But the contestants were actually really sweet. So there's 10 contestants that we dealt with. We had Ron, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We had Ron Jobbert. We had the guy named Patrick. We had Merlot. We had Rabies, who's from Long Island. I knew his sister. We have Shadow Boy, a.k.a. Major. We have Freight Train. We had Supersonic Blur. We had Gabriella La Tigress Devia Allen. And we had 2 more people who I'm forgetting. We had Rogue the Dwarf, who had a fantastic voice. And somebody else, sorry. And we had John Finch, who actually, it was actually very cool. So the it's me, Hindu man coming down the lane. Yeah, that's how that works. So basically, the cut and dry, they all have their hello videos that we put out, and you can find them on Smite Caster or what's it called, YouTube channel. And they're from a myriad of different backgrounds. Ron Jobbert, obviously coming from the Smite community, as did Freight Train and Shadow Boy, right? You had Rabies and Gabriella Devia Allen, who come from other esports. Rabies did fighting games, and Gabby did a card game. You have Supersonic Blur and Merlo. And Merlo also comes from Italian esports. you had Supersonic Blur from England and John Finch, who had like tried things kind of like in their bedroom status, but nothing ever like beyond that. And then Patrick, John Finch also, who kind of like the complete random, no experience guys whatsoever. And so with this mix of different people, some from all different parts of America, Merlot obviously from Italy, Supersonic Blur from England, like very, very cool stuff. Everybody generally talented. It was very cool. What impact do I think the cast will have on Smite? I don't know. I don't know if that's like, I don't know. I mean, hopefully it increases viewership, question mark. That's not really, that like, when I was hosting the caster, I was not thinking about that. But so, I loved the idea of these 10 people coming together and trying their best to fit into a job that they've either tried before, never have tried before. This is a dream for all 10 people. And so when the word reality show is said or the phrase reality show is spoken, people immediately think to like Jersey Shore or Road Rules. Nobody remembers Road Rules. But the idea is that like, oh, it's a reality show. It's all fake and they don't give a shit. It's going to be all, yoked up or whatever. Like, that's not how that, like, reality show doesn't mean that it's going to be like fake or Jersey Shore. Reality show doesn't detract from the quality of talent or the talent level or I think what I'm looking to say is that reality show, the fact that it's a reality show and will include personal aspects, does not detract away from the level of respect shown to the position or the profession of commentary, and that will be the factor that keeps players in. There's no TV magic. There's no production behind the scenes going, oh, we like this guy, we like this girl, so we're going to keep them in the show. We're not sitting here saying, oh, this guy is bad. He's a great commentator, but he's boring, so kick him off. That's not how this works. These guys went through commentary challenges, and the judges judged of their own accord. You're talking about Kelly, a person that has gone after Hi-Rez. If you guys are unaware, she has hosted everything from Clash Royale competitions to the main stage at PAX. She hosts numerous things for Twitch. She's one of the go-to hosts for Twitch. If you're ever watching Twitch at an event, it's probably Kelly Link that you're looking at. She's got her chops. Golden Boy, who has casted every first-person shooter on the planet and then some. He's a global icon. You can literally type what phase, capital W, capital F. He'll show up on your Twitch. I think he's got the credentials. And then, of course, you got a Hindu man who, he's been doing this for a couple of years. So you've got 3 hosts that know what they're talking about, know what they're doing with respect to the profession, and they're grading these guys based on the profession. So the idea that, like, this is a reality show, so nothing counts is silly. And I think that's beyond, like, that is just the haters talking. But on a serious note, I want you guys to give the show a real shot, because, like I said, frankly, we worked our asses off. Like, we worked our asses off. So when you think of Twitch presenters, DJ Wheat and Aurelian, but there's sort of like a passing of the torch. Kelly has definitely become the more recent sort of go-to. And she absolutely, and regardless of, those semantics, she absolutely knows her shit. And that's kind of what we're talking here. 3 members on a panel to judge 10 contestants strictly based on their skill level. And it's going to be awesome. Tomorrow is the event. I think it's live after, it airs right after patch notes, ? 5 p.m. is exactly when it goes live. I think it's going to be awesome. You guys have to check it out. Like I said, I host it, so I'm obviously a little bit biased, but was it hard for you, the judges and the contestants, to not spoil anything? Yeah. Very hard. I mean, I hosted the event, and I wasn't sure until I wasn't sure if I was allowed to say I hosted the event until today. I'm still not sure, although I'm pretty sure, I'm on all the, ad spots. But it was really hard because the filming was a lot of fun. The show's really good. I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. And like I said, sure, I'm biased, but the show's really good. And kind of holding that behind. I mean, I have a couple of people in chat that have worked in TV before, and, having to hold that stuff while what's on the next episode, when it's objectively really dope, is tough. And it's been tough up to this point, and I think it's only going to get tougher when, 2 or 3 episodes in, people are really like, yo, this is really dope. Okay, sweet. But what happens next? And I got to be like, I think that's going to be even tougher. It's going to be on Twitch. I believe it'll be twitch.tv/HighResTV. Question mark. How many episodes are there? We have 8 to 10 episodes, I believe. I think we have 8 episodes. It'll be posted on YouTube after airing, so you can catch it after the fact as well. But it's going to be 8 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, there's 8 episodes. I'm trying to go back to because it's weird when you're like in the instead of as an aside, when you're like in the shit, right? As they say, you know, everything sort of blends together. You're filming like intros and outros and all this stuff. There's 8 episodes. It airs tomorrow at 5 p.m. on Hi-Res TV, and it'll be posted on YouTube after airing. It's going to be a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun filming it. We had a lot of fun creating it. All 10 of these players involved definitely played their heart out, and there's some real moments on there. I'm not going to lie. There's some real shit that makes you like, oh. So, absolutely want to check that out. I don't think it's going to be every Wednesday. So it won't be a daily performance. It'll be a weekly performance, at least here. And then the episodes are about 30 to 40 minutes. I think we'll also have longer episodes on YouTube, sort of like the director's extended cut. But don't quote me on that. I think that's a mere possibility. But it'll be pretty sweet. Definitely want to check it out. That's tomorrow. This weekend, we have the SPL, which is pretty nuts. Well, at least in North America, it's nuts. Europe, I think we've got stuff going on. 5 p.m. is the worst airtime ever? No, I don't know about that. I think 4 p.m. is the ideal airtime. 5 p.m. is really fantastic to grab the majority of our audience because you're grabbing people at 11 p.m. right before they go to bed in Europe, for the most of Europe. And then 4 to 5, I think, when you're looking for an international audience is probably the best. That's why FPL is at 4 p.m. actually. It started at 6, but I really wanted to make sure that Fails could get in here and watch the show, so I changed it to 4. Just for Fails exclusively, nobody else. I mean, yeah, the show will be on YouTube, so you can check it out after the fact. But you should absolutely watch it live, please. It'll be cool to watch live. So, do I think Death Panda can make an improvement and prove people wrong? Yes, sure. I believe that anything is possible. And to be fair to him, I think it's also worth noting what players were talking about before, that he was on a much worse team. I don't think that means you cannot compare stats, because as I did before, you absolutely can. But I think that there is some reason to believe that he will be better on a better team. I maintain that I think Nulissa is the better selection, and I don't think that stepping away from her was the right move. In any event, we'll talk about Europe in a moment. Let's start over in North America. We'll just talk about the teams in general, and then we'll go over the schedule. Holy shit, we get to talk about real Smite games instead of theoretics and what-ifs and who-ifs and how-hows. Don't ask me what a how-how is. Space Station Gaming. These guys are looking pretty sweet, actually. I think this is one of the better-looking teams in the league, not just North America, which is actually very interesting. Dang, see? Transfer Kai coming through. That's what I do. Zapman and Jigs. They both have a... If you go to the esports site, this is a mistake, but the esports site has been updated, and it will continue to be updated. There is a mistake on it. It shows both Zapman and Jigs as captains. However, I think there's truth behind that mistake. Zapman and Jigs are both very, very... let's say leadership-oriented people. They'll be joined by Andy in the mid lane, Homie FA in the jungle, and Scary D in solo lane. Who do I think is a better team, Old Eager versus Space Station? I think Space Station. Off of raw talent. Eager was the team that could topple the best. I think that Eager could beat any team better than them or worse than them, no matter what. I also think that Eager could lose to any team better than them or worse than them, no matter what. So, double-edged blade right there. That's a katana. No, katanas are single-edged blades. I don't know. I'm not a guy like that. But Zapman and Jigs coming together, I think, is going to be one of the better dual lanes in Smite, like, history. I think that these two guys played together on the regular even before this switch was made. Don't forget the switch was made in the summer split. And Zapman was mad that people didn't like him. So he waited a split. But I think that Zapman and Jigs play really well together. I think that they have similar mindsets. I think that Zapman fits in the squad really nicely. I think that Zapman excels when he gets to be in the spotlight, but doesn't necessarily have to drive the ship like a shitty lead singer. It just sort of works out this way. Jigs and Homie and Andy will do a lot of the shot calling. Zapman will be involved. The way teams shot call these days, you very rarely have a single guy that calls all the shots. It's more like elective. Oh, I think this is a good call. Da, 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 da. But I think that Zapman will fit in with this squad a lot better than he has in the past. I think that Zapman will look better because he doesn't have to run the team on the field and off the field. Remember, he no longer is in control of Team Eager and da 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 da. Technically is, but he doesn't really exist, so there's nothing to control. But the sense that he doesn't have to run an organization and run a team and run the dual lane and play Hunter. He just gets to play fucking Hunter, I think will be a very important thing going forward for Space Station Gaming. Scary D is a question mark to me, and this is sort of where I take a step back as a commentator, and I trust in the players. The move with Nulissa is one of those times where I don't necessarily do that. But here, I'm going to trust in the players because I think that Scary D was so not ready for this position. I think his decision-making was questionable. I think a lot of things were questionable at Scary D. And I think that the comparison between Homeafe and Mask, while Homeafe is probably the better player, I don't think it's that big of a gap. So the idea that, Homeafe will be able to take care of Scary D better than Mask was, I don't know about that one. Things happen behind the scenes, and Scary D is better than I think. That is what I have to assume, because I think that with the change from Vedium to Zapman, not knocking Vedium too hard, that this team just becomes a contender. Scary is really young, and of course that's the thing. Who would I prefer instead of Scary D? I thought Final K was totally fine. I saw no reason to boot him. I didn't understand that. I would like that change not to be made. But, like I said, this is one of those changes. If you have Homeafe, Andy, Jigs, Zapman, and Final K, who's having a fantastic year, and you swap him out for Scary D, there's a reason that I don't know. You have to, as a commentator, you have to have faith and confidence in what you say, whether you have the facts or not. And then you have to also know when to back the hell up. And this is one of those scenarios where, bruh, this is so wonky that somebody knows something that I don't. Whether it's Final K breaks his arm next month or Scary D just, turns into Divios or something. Not literally. I don't actually mean he, physically turns into a tall, afro-headed Canadian dude. I mean, his talent level becomes that high. I don't know. Stuff is really solid. Peach is such a succulent fruit. I think Space Station Gaming could be your number one team. I think that they could be because I bring up LG. I have not had this much faith in LG for a while, but when you look at the change they made in their solo lane to grab Aquarius, Mask, Baskin, Jeff Hindla, and Barra. I think that Jeff and Barra have taken a couple of steps backwards over the past couple of years, and I think that moving in here is one of those. I think that Barracuda and Jeff Hindla have just gotten better. There's no fancy wording. There's no story. They have returned to how good they were in the past. Whether that means they were better, they got worse, and they're better again, or, which is what I believe, other teams and other players just sort of excelled at a rate faster than they have, and Barrett and Jeff kind of took it upon themselves. This is that weightlifting scenario. Barrett and Jeff have had to carry this team for a long ass time with some questionable ass players. Shouts to. All right, you all know who I'm talking about. They've had 2 or 3 different players that you kind of look at them play and you go, "Why are you on this team, my guy?" And Barrett and Jeff were just like. Eventually, you just get bigger muscles, right? Now, Baskin, Mask, Aquarius, this is a top-tier team. This is a fantastic lineup. I think this team is also a number one team. Space Station Gaming, I will say that they are I got to see Scary D play. I think that the talent on LG is more spread out, whereas when you look at Space Station, you're looking at like Homie, Andy, Zapman, well, shit, even Jigs. I don't know, man. These two teams are extremely close together. Like, extremely close. And it's very scary. It's very scary. I think you're looking at 1 or 2, and oops, I put Noble as number 1 on my notes. That's incorrect. If you look at Space Station and LG, and you tell me, I think LG is number 1, and I'm going to go to my grave about it, and if you tell me the opposite, I will go, okay. I think that those teams are extremely, extremely close together. Let's take a look at Trifecta. I think the Trifecta is another team that has definitely improved. I think this team has absolutely improved. Snoopy, Aurora in the support role, Heroin, Sonashore, and Kiki in the solo lane. I think that this team has had a number of identities. I think that knowing them as the Snoopy team was probably not doing them any favors. I think that seeing Snoopy pair up with Aurora, having Kiki join this roster with Herwind, this team is, I think this team is the squad that makes... This squad does exactly what Aurora's team did at the Invitational, in that they play a little bit different, they play a little bit fast and loose, they are a little bit different, they are a little bit fast and loose, and that does good things for them. I think that this is a squad that will succeed off of their own individualism. I have them marked as number 3, but I believe that they are good enough to contend with 1 and 2, whether it's Space Station, LG, or the opposite. I think that these guys can absolutely make waves. I think that these guys are able to do things. I have them as number 3 for a reason, but don't be surprised if and when they win versus Space Station and LG. These guys are going to be a lot of fun to watch as well. If you're looking for a fun team to root for this split, it's going to be Trifecta. LG are going to play your meta. Space Station are going to be the guys that you look for just to watch crazy LeBron James highlight reels. And then Trifecta is going to be the team that's they're going to keep winning, but they're also going to be fun as hell to watch. There are 2 teams that I think you can put here for 4 and 5. Let's talk E United first, okay? E United is a strong team, and I think that they have not gotten their fair shake. I think that E United is a squad that there are players that you have, I wouldn't say a bias towards, but you have there is a intangible element of faith here. And I've always had this since he came on the scene. Polar Bear Mike, I think, has what it takes to be one of the best leaders and the best players, either by proxy of being a leader or just by his own play, in the entire game. Polar Bear Michael joined a Dignitas team that was probably not the healthiest of atmospheres. Polar Bear Mike just sort of took it on the chin, kept it, and ran with it. This guy understands what it's like to be in a team-based environment. This guy understands what it takes to be a winner. He understands when you got to swallow your pride and when you got to force feed it to somebody else. He just gets it. And I think that we were at a point where his maturity level wasn't there. And, of course, we were at a point where his skill level wasn't there. We were at a point where his experience wasn't there. I think the maturity is out of the window. I think he has absolutely reached the proper level of maturity to be one of the best players and one of the best captains in the game. His experience and his player skill, that's still maturing. There is no like, oh, he's reached that point, here we go. It's going to be a reflection. It's going to be like, oh, looking back at what his team has done, maybe we can pinpoint the spot. PBM is a guy that's Scream and Benji are notoriously difficult to play with, and they're great players. Benji's a great player. I think that you need the right type of person to deal with them. I think that Pain Devion was the right type of person and then ran out of leadership points. PBM, I think, is the type of person to understand these guys. I said control. I said take care of. I said deal with, I think, literally verbatim. That is the wrong approach to being a leader. When you're trying to lead a team, when you're trying to lead people, whether it's in your McJob and you're the shift commander of the fry cooker, or you are trying to make your way through the SPL, the way you lead is through respect and through understanding, not with an iron fist. It's long-term versus short-term. And the idea, shouts to Jeff Hindler with the hot host. And Jeff and Jeff's viewers will understand this. Right now we're talking about Polar Bear Mike. If you're just joining the program, we're going through our North American SPL teams. Europe we'll go through a little bit later. And we're on E United right now. And I think that Polar Bear Mike has the potential to be one of the best leaders and players in the game. And there was 3 questions: maturity, experience, and skill level. Maturity is out the window. He has obviously reached that level, in my opinion. I think that now we look at experience and skill level. And I was talking about specifically Scream and Benji. Benji's a great player. These 2 individuals have been notoriously difficult to play with. And watching Polar Bear Mike deal with them is impressive because he doesn't deal with them. He respects them, he understands them, and he just treats them as they need to be treated. Leadership is not a one-size-fits-all scenario. You don't go in and say, well, this is the way I led my last team. This is the way I led my last job. I'm going to do the same shit here. You don't read a book. You don't read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People and then go, got it. I'll see you later. I can do it. No problem. It's a different world. Trying to lead a person like Kiki, very happy-go-lucky, understanding, but willing to put his foot down, is very different than trying to lead a person like Jeff, who is a little bit more understanding than most. And it's very different than trying to lead a person like Benji, who does his own thing. You have to understand how people operate, how people do things, and at the same time, you've got to get them to do whatever it is that you're trying to get them to do. Difficult. Not something everybody can do. Absolutely something that Polar Bear Mike can do. And I think that he's gotten to the point where he can do this. I was very excited watching him on Dignitas because he had 4 players surrounding him that knew the game inside and out and could teach him. He was basically the new Babby on like the Yankees, the Lakers, the top of the top, and he just sort of came in here, right? That was a fantastic opportunity to learn how many different individuals work. When you look at Lazes, when you look at Zapman, when you look at Anatoly, you're looking at 3 very different people there. And just sort of understood. And as he had his time on different teams, he just sort of understood. And now it's his time to be the leader on this squad. And I expect big things. I don't think they're going to be a number 1 team. I think they will be number 4 here. But I think the squad will absolutely be a very interesting look, at the very least. I think that Polar Bear Mike is what I call a ground floor leader, where he just comes in and he goes, hey, man, we're all the same. I'm your boss, but I'm not your fucking boss. Let's just do it. And I think that's what this team needs, and I think he's going to be successful. I haven't said a lick of their gameplay. I've spoken about Polar Bear Mike as a leader because I think that's the most important thing here. I think Panda Cat, Polar Bear Mike, Scream, and Benji, they can all play the damn game. These guys are totally fine. As long as you can make sure Benji doesn't buy Fatalis on Hercules anytime soon, you're going to be relatively successful. Now, can you beat Space Station Gaming? Can you beat LG? Can you beat Trifecta? I think that there's a possibility there. A lot of it surrounds Venenu. Is he the real deal? Is he as good as people think? Which the popular vote says yes, he is that good. We'll see if it works out. But I think this team absolutely is a real team, and I look forward to them, not just this split, but the future. You guys know who I'm going to talk about for number 5? Do you guys have any idea who I'm going to talk about for number 5? Chiron Mid will save United. Honestly, maybe. Well, Millsy should build Pythax. Pythax is a good item. Pythax is a very good item. Maybe not on support. It's very good. Noble. People think Noble. ALG. People think ALG. People think Burrito. Well, aliens think Burrito. A lot of people think Noble. A lot of people think Noble. I see a couple of the right opinions here. So this is my gamble. This is my gamble. I'm going to call Gatekeepers number 5. If ALG becomes number 5, I won't, die. I think there's a very real possibility that ALG is number 5 and that Gatekeepers are number 6. But I think that the Gatekeepers could absolutely be a 5th place team in North America. Pain Devion has taken 8 separate players to Worlds in relevant, runs. There is something to be said there. There is something to be said about that. There's also something to be said about Data Remember being one of the better hunters in the game and always stuck behind the gate of the SPL. Moswall and Grave, in that order, are also very good. I think that Moswall and Data Remember will make an impact on the league bigger than most players think. I'm not sleeping on Woman. I think that Mando Warrior will be average. He will be the solo laner that does the solo lane things. He's not going to be super, super strong. He's not going to go nuts. He is a cool guy. I like that dude. But Data Remember, Pain Devion, Moswall, Grave, I think that these 4 are a lot better than people think. And I think that people aren't giving them a fair shot unintentionally. I think people are kind of sitting there going what? Because they're unfamiliar with these players. And they know that that the other guys are strong at what they do. I think that the unknown factor for the Gatekeepers could keep them higher than ALG. I have them marked as 5. I have Space Station and LG as slashes, 1 and 2. They could flip-flop. I have Gatekeepers as 5 and ALG as 6, but I would not be surprised if Gatekeepers fell to 6. This is not something that I'm fiercely defending. I think that there is an upside to this team that players don't expect. I think that fans at home just don't expect these guys to be strong because they just don't. They haven't seen them. They've seen the other teams. I just don't think that that they expect this level of proficiency. ALG, on the other hand, I think is a team that could explode. If any of my, so I have them as 5/6. If any of my organization here is incorrect, it's going to be that one by the biggest shot possible. Phelan says being underdogs and dark horse is so good for a team. I think it's also it's so good for a team full stop, and it's very good for Pain Devion and Data Remember specifically. Those guys play better when they are not expected to win. You're not going to find that stat anywhere. That's what you get. I've been around Pain Devion teams for 5 years now, right? No, it's 2017. 3.5 years now. Pain just plays better when people don't expect them to win. That's just how that works. I don't know why. It's just how that works. Kobe plays better when people boo him. It's just how that works. I think that ALG can be a team that explodes. I think that Matt Yankee, Neil Ma, Oceans, Weekend, and Cyclone Spin. Weekend is the most The amount of people that say he's trash in comparison to how strong he actually is, I think is the biggest like measurable. I don't know how to phrase this, but you know what I'm saying. Weekend is that guy. I don't think Cyclone Spin is the Cyclone Spin. Fucking Kyrie Irving Flat Earth. I don't think Cyclone Spin is the Cyclone Spin that we knew of yesteryear. I don't think that he is the same domination player. I don't think that he is the same dude that cannot be beat, but I do think he's better than average. I think he's a strong solo leader that will absolutely do his part. Neil Ma is how I feel about these guys on Gatekeepers. Maybe even higher. Neil Ma, Naruma. Neil Ma will surprise people. Neil Ma will be one of the better supports in the league this fall. Full stop. People just haven't seen him play. I've seen him play. I think that Neil Ma and Met Yankee are top 2 dual lane coming out of the mouth of Ron Jobbert. Space Station, E United, Novo, LG, Gatekeepers, Mighty Storm, I will say that they are top 3. I think you look at Space Station, Zap and Jigs. I think you look at LG, Barrett and Jeff. And I think you look at Met Yankee and Neil Ma as 3. In any order you choose, those 3 dual lanes are the top 3 dual lanes in North America. Like, that's just how that works. They are that good. Met Yankee is one of the best hunters that Smite has ever seen. And watching him move to mid was, I don't know how to explain that. Mega KK as an ALG fan was definitely questioning Met in the mid. Like, Blinded does bring up Turnip in mid. Oceans used to be known as Turnip. That's the question mark, which is why I said this could be the explosive team. If Oceans works out, this can be a top 4 team. I know I have them as 5/6. This could be a top 4. This is incredible. This is like this dual lane is very strong. If Oceans, Weekend, and Cyclone Spin can match that level and perform, and like this is a team that can go nuts. There's a big question mark on top of ALG for me. There's not a question mark for the bottom 2, however. I think Noble is very clearly a 7th place team. So Noble is Wowie Wubbin, MLC, Skilldon, and Walrus. I don't think these guys. So 7th place sounds sad, but it's all about, in comparison to the rest of the league. I don't think Noble is better than Space Station, E United, LG, Trifecta, or ALG. I don't think that they're better than the Gatekeepers either. I think that these guys are... Can you mute my mic for 1 second? Is that possible? Mute. I don't know. Noble has a lot of questions that need to be answered. And so when it comes to Noble, I just don't understand what's going to happen here. The mic was on. No, it wasn't. I really hope it wasn't. Skilladon was a jungler, and this kind of like, maybe he still has his spot, right? But Skilladon was a jungler that came in, and we always talk about these guys like, all right, they're coming in, they're going to make their spot, and they either sink or they swim. Skilly sort of just treaded water. Like, he didn't sink. Well, he did sink a couple of games, actually. But he didn't really... We've seen him go off, and we've seen him get destroyed. Skilly's that jungler that, like, or that new player that came into the league and didn't move. He didn't go up, but he didn't go down. So he didn't go down, so he didn't get thrown out. But he didn't go up either. And so everybody's just sort of waiting. The other foot didn't drop. I still have high hopes for Skilladon. I've had high hopes for Skilladon since Adonis was casting, so it's been a long time. But I really think that Skilladon has an upside that we just haven't seen. When will we see that? Sure. Wowie is a good hunter. Wubbin is not a good support. Plain and dry. Like, I just don't think that the talent level of Wubbin is there. Sure, ask me the question, who would I rather have on the team? I'm not sure. That's why the league is moving to 6 teams. I don't think, and this is, this is completely based on skill level in game. I just don't think Wubbin has what it takes to be a top end support player. That's not shots fired. I'm down to fire shots at people, but that's just my objective. The objective opinion? That's not objective. Opinions are not objective. That's the objective observation. Is that I just don't think Wubbin is that strong of a player. So we'll see how that works. But why are you making faces at me, producer? Uh-oh. Wowie is top tier. I don't think that his support player is top tier. MLC, I think, will always remain a question. I think that he will always be a question mark. We don't know what we'll get out of MLC Stealth. Walrus, sure. Sidestep, if not a slight downgrade from Aquarius. No. So, deep breath. This is exactly what I'm saying. Wubbin must have said something to piss me off. No, that is not what we're talking about. Those are two completely separate things. Wubbin and I, used to be friends. There is not. I am talking about gameplay here. This isn't as strong as the other players in the league. If you watched him at the Energy Invitational, it was very clear that he was outclassed. And yes, it's an invitational. You have to take it with a grain of salt, but you can take it with a pile of salt. And you can see that there are players that are just better than him, and it's virtually everybody. This is an objective observation as somebody that studies the game for a living. I mean, no ill will towards Wubbin. The guy is fine, sure. It's strictly off of his gameplay. So I don't think that support is what this team needs. I think that MLC remains a question mark. I think that Skilladon remains a question mark. I think that Walrus is, and I love Walrus. Y'all want to talk about me roasting Wubbin because I don't like him? Y'all know how much I love Walrus. Wally and I are good friends. I think Walrus is an even step, if not a downgrade from Aquarius. Wowie is the real deal. And unfortunately, I think Wowie is the only real deal. Spilled all over myself. You think? Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination. I don't think that there is one person that holds back. Oh, and as far as Wubbin not making diamond or platinum, I don't give a shit. I don't care what rank you are in ranked. I think that's completely irrelevant. I don't think that has anything to do with anything. Wubbin could be bronze 5 and the best player in the league. That has nothing to do with it. Fun fact, Azalea used to run the league. Now, different player. Azalea used to be the best player in the solo lane, arguably in Europe, and he was in silver. No relation. Last place team, I think a Mighty Storm. I don't think a Mighty Storm really has anything to, stand on. They made it through. Good for them. Phenomenal. Wowie Squadron was play of the year. Sure, I'll give it to him. It's a team sport. Variety's in gold right now. Yeah, there you go. Ghost, Vivian, Wulp, Plasma, and Uzi. Ghost plays Hunter. I think Ghost is better than most. I think Vivian is average or sub-average. I think Wulp is not good. I think Plasma is average or sub-average, and Uzi is the real deal. This is a team that I'm almost upset that they qualified, because if they didn't qualify, somebody could have taken Uzi and given him a career. I think this team will do nothing. I don't think that they will win much. I just think that Uzi and Ghost are kind of the two standout players on a team that will be happy to collect a paycheck in the fall split. Uzi, yeah, definitely not Korean. Uzi killed it in relegations. Uzi might have been player of NA relegations. He's always been a beast. And yeah, I mean, Akilla Hun brings up a good point. Uzi's newer to the scene. Uzi comes from the Challenger Cup scene, or excuse me, the console scene. And so he's just newer to the scene. I think that we'll see Uzi really show people what he's capable of. Ghost as well. But I think that Uzi will show people what he's capable of on this roster. I think that he's also been streaming. You guys can catch a stream. He's really fun to watch. He's just a really solid solo laner. This is his audition. I think that there is... Do I see Kapow getting some wins? Maybe they get some wins off of Noble or Gatekeepers. Gatekeepers because they know how they play, and Noble because they're the closest competition. I don't see this team getting wins against fantastic teams. Akil the Hun plays with him every day in his comms. His awareness are already top solo. He just needs a really good team. Yeah, and I mean, Aggro played in the console league alongside Uzi, and also brings up how strong of a solo laner he is with his communication and everything like that. He's just a good damn player, and I think that he will absolutely be somebody people talk about in the future of Smite. Absolutely. Realistically, though, his team, I don't think that they win much, if at all. Somebody's got to be on the bottom, unfortunately. So, just coming down the line, I have Space Station as number 1, LG as number 2, although those could flip-flop. I have Trifecta as 3, E United as 4, Gatekeepers as 5, and ALG as 6, but don't write me letters when that's not true. I can see ALG being 5 and Gatekeepers being 6. That's my spicy. I think there's potential there for a pain team. And then I think that Noble becomes number 7, and then Mighty Storm is number 8. EU. Whew. Noble number 5, you're high. EU. Okay, let's go. Chrono's voice. Energy, Obey, Rival exist in their own league. Energy, Obey, Rival, and Dig exist in their own league. I keep forgetting Dig because I wrote it down further here. They're almost in their own league, right? Energy, Dig, Obey, and Rival. These guys exist almost in their own individual league. Then you have Elevate and Vac. And then you have Burrito and Poppies. Energy, Dignitas, Obey, and Rival. I think at the moment, Dignitas has proven to be your top team. I think if you go right off what we've seen, I think it's Dig 1, Obey 2, Energy or Rival 3, Energy 4, and then Elevate 5 or Vac 5, Elevate 6, and then who cares about the bottom, right? But changes have been made. I think that's very important. So I think that you look at Dignitas is the number 1 team to beat at the moment. I don't think that there's any conversation there as to who is number 1. I think that they are the GOAT. Well, the GOAT's pushing it, but I think they just play so damn well. Individually, they are flawless. They put up great numbers. They play well as a team. They don't let anybody really feed too hard. Like, everybody on this squad is good. There's, when they're like, I didn't have much to say about Gatekeeper, or excuse me, Mighty Storm. I just talked about Uzi a lot. There's not much to be talking about Dig because they're that good. They're just a strong-ass team. Number 2 is questionable. Obey loses Maniac and pick up Zelia, which I am not sure if that's going to be as smooth of a transition as everybody thinks. I don't think that I'm just not sure. I don't think that will be a smooth move. You look at the other teams, you look at Rival, who people have mentioned, they're online. That might, be an issue. And you look at Energy, who have gotten better in my mind with Maniac. And I think Valence Squadron is included in this conversation too, sure. So basically for number 2, we're comparing Energy, Vac, and Obey. I don't think I don't know. I have Rival as a number 3. I know we're skipping. I have Rival as a number 3, but I can see them swapping up to a 4. Rival is that swing team that just might do it. Like, they just might do it. I think Rival is that squad that who knows what'll happen. We'll put them at 3 for now. For number 2, as we look at Energy, Vac, and Obey, I think that this is very clearly Energy. I think that throughout the course of the season, Energy has picked up steam. Whether you want to say that they didn't care in the beginning, which I think is not true, or whatnot, I think it's obvious that they have gotten better throughout the course of the season. I think that Energy is better with Maniac. Not that Dimmy was bad. I think Maniac is just more modern, fits the squad a little bit better, and will make this team better. Anecdote from the guys who I cannot even think about pronouncing this dude's name, but his name is Z. From latest scrims, Energy with Maniac is really strong. Yeah, I 100% believe that. Also, something about these guys wake up in the fall split. They're looking for worlds. Yeah. Number 3, I have Rival. I think that this squad has improved, and people say that Rival choked during the online stage. That's very true. I think that their performance I'm giving them credit for their performance at Summer Split, their Summer Split World, or their Summer Split Finals appearance at LAN. I think that maybe they have learned a couple more tricks to sort of fend that off. They should, at least. So, Rival, Rival, I have it 3 because I think 4, 5. I have Rival at 3. Ah, man, the online point is so true. The online point is so true. The online point is so fucking true, man. It's tough. We'll come back to this. Rival is number 3. I'll put brackets around it. We'll come back to this because number 4, Obey versus Valence Squadron. And I think this is very real. I think that Valence Squadron is a lot better than they have played in the past. And I think that Obey with without Maniac and with Zelia in place is rough. I think it's really rough. I think that as we look towards number 4, this is my spicy take, I'll say. I think that number 4 or number 3 can be Valence Squadron, and number 4 will be fought over between Rival and Obey. I think that's what we're going to look at one more time. EU is so much more tumultuous than the rest of the world. Basically, I think 1 and 2 are safe. I think 7 and 8 are safe. I think 3, 4, 5, 6. Woo! Actually, scratch that. Let's do this. Dignitas 1, Energy 2, Burrito, Poppies, 7 and 8. Like, whichever direction. I don't really care. 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, I think you look at Elevate. I don't think that they're worse than Burrito, but I don't think they get better. So we're looking at 3, 4, and 5 for Rival, Vac, and Obey. This is the question that we have to answer, right? This is the question that we have to answer. Is which squad is actually, and I think that's sort of the question that the false split will answer. Rival, Vac, or Obey. I think we're looking at knowing that Rival is not an online team, right? I think that's the question, is the onlineitude. And I don't know how to answer that. I think if you want to be safe, you say Obey 3, Rival 4, Vac 5, and I think that's incorrect. I think that Obey Alliance will probably take a step down. I think, honestly, what we see here. Oof. This is tough. What do you guys in chat think? Because this one is the math problem that you ask for help on from your mom. 3, 4, and 5. I don't think Rival is 3. So I think it's between Vac and Obey. I think Obey winds up. Oh, man, yeah. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Does Obey fall all the way down to 5 because Vac is 4 and Rival is 3? Or vice versa? Does Obey fall all the way down to 5? With a change to that solo. You think Obey, Vac, Rival? I think that's a safe one, paid to lose. Obey 3, Vac 4, Rival 5. I think that's fair. Obey still definitely has their core unit. Vac, Obey. That's the problem, is we're trying to get a 3, 4, and 5 straight. There are some roster changes soon. Will be more info. The fuck? It's like we have. Oh my god, this is what I hate. Rosters are already locked in, aren't they? No, I think they get locked in on Wednesday. So you know what? I don't have to tie this there. I don't think Twig's massively underrated. I think everybody understands just how damn good Twig is. Rival are not first and second, especially considering. Yeah, I think Rival gets overestimated, and Rival does fall down a little bit online. So it's troublesome. It definitely is troublesome. Just predict 3-6, end up in a tie. Before roster changes that Zlat is out here talking about, I have Team Dignitas 1, Energy 2, Obey 3, Valent Squadron 4, Rival 5, Elevate 6, Burrito and Poppy 7 and 8. That is where I think I'm still shaky because I think that a solo laner can significantly impact the game. I think that Maniac was a significant, big part of what we saw out of Obey's success. I wouldn't be surprised if Obey fell down to 4, with Valent Squadron even taking number 3 away from Obey. I could actually see that. But I don't know. My shirt cracks you up. There's nothing funny on my shirt. I don't understand why it's funny. You fucking asshole. This is I am not super with this prediction. I'm not going to defend this to the grave. I think that I will defend my 1 and 2. I will defend my 6, 7, and 8. But 3, 4, and 5 is up in the air, and that's what makes the SPL fun. The fact that nobody knows where those 3 teams will wind up. I think that it is absolutely hilarious, and that's what's going to make the SPL fun. Don't forget, you guys can join up in the Discord. I'm going to go to some Q&A now. Johnny is the new adapting, says Ron Jobber. Anybody in the Discord? Are we actually doing it in the Discord? Where are we? Oh, here I am. No, how do I scroll down? Here we go. All right. So we do have nobody's in the Discord just yet, but we'll take questions in a moment. If you guys have any questions, you can put them in chat as well. We'll see where you guys are. Oh, hi producer. Bye producer. Ice Size Baby is the new adapting. I don't know about that one. Scary got kicked. I don't know if he got kicked or he left. I would be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if he got kicked. Okay, yeah, he got kicked. That doesn't surprise me. I don't think Scary D was up to par with the rest of the guys on LG. I was surprised to hear that he got picked up by Space Station Gaming, however. That's kind of weird. We have Dranzer Kai on the line. Let's see what he has to say. What's up, man? You're on FPL. What's on your mind? Yo, you're cutting in and out. What's up, bud?
Yo, what's up? How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Just had 2 questions.
Sure.
The first being regarding Maniac's move to energy. Now, I'd asked you once, like, adapting and Cuvo are more valued because they're carries. And Maniac also likes to carry the game.
Yep.
And adapting's not one to take a backseat. Like, he loves playing these assassins who hard carry the game. So how do you think that synergy will work between them?
I see where you're going with it, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think that the way an assassin carries a game is very different from the way a solo laner carries a game or a warrior carries a game. And Maniac is definitely the warrior carrying the game from ahead by zoning and spacing rather than just getting kills. I think it'll actually work out very, very well.
That's true, especially considering the whole of energy likes to play aggressive. Like, everyone just wants to fight when they get the chance. And the second question is, usually whenever I'm watching SPL in Twitch or YouTube, everyone's just always saying, like, if you criticize a play, everyone's saying that you're not a pro player, you don't get to talk. And that's sort of, like, annoying as a fan. So what do you think? Like, how do you change that?
How do you change that? I don't think you do, but yes, I agree with you. I think that the idea that you have to be a pro level player to criticize a pro level player is ridiculous. In fact, I make a living off of criticizing pro level players without being a pro level player myself. It's literally my job. When you look at traditional sports and you look at the history of traditional sports broadcasting and analysis, you do not need to be the same level player to really identify things. There are some things that players will have control over that other people do not, and that's all well and good. But it's not understanding a pro level. It's not. We can all, in our bronze arena games, look at the SPL on our other monitor, watch somebody jump in 1v4 and say, that's a dumb play. We can all see Chronos Pendant being built second on Soul and go, that's not how you build that character. And I think that that's the idea that you have to be, X good at the game is not the correct thought process whatsoever.
All right. That was it.
Sweet. Thanks a lot for
Great
coming
talking
on.
to you.
Hell yeah. Thanks for talking to you as well. So that was we had Dranzer Kai on here, good stuff. And I'm looking at this link that Zimstar linked, and it's a nice Thorin. Well, who is this by? Is this by Thorin? I don't know who this is by, but it features some Thorin commentary. It features some stuff with Adonis. It's by Zimstar himself. But yeah, essentially, like it that idea is very silly. Is that you have to be just as good as the player to say that they're good or bad. I don't know too well about Lance Wolf, Josh Brett. I couldn't really answer that question with the due diligence. Will the fact that the gauntlet be online this time affect anything, in my opinion? Sure. I think that it'll affect some players positively, some players negatively. That's just how that works. Season 5 payments. Teams get $200,000, and you've consistently stated that teams must pay $150 of that to the players. Their requirement that must split evenly. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that how the split is being determined, but I do know that $150 has to go to the players. Zap on Space Station surprised you? Did not surprise me. I got my shirt from Into the AM. You can use code FDOT and save 10%. Shouts to them. With all the big personalities on Space Station Gaming, how do you think they'll work well together? I don't think that's like such an issue. We saw Eager succeed very well for a long time with a lot of big personalities, so I think teams will not know how to handle Hell because she's banned so much, so teams don't have the experience to deal with her. No, I think they all know how to deal with. I think they've all experienced her and don't like to deal with her. I'm actually, yeah, I remember this piece now, I'm sorry. I actually remember this piece. I think that adapting will be able to carry, whether he's playing a warrior or an assassin. The idea that like warrior jungle is such a different like it. They're a little tankier, but I don't think that the idea that I'm an assassin player or I'm a warrior player. Adapting loves Hercules jungle or Anister loves Hercules jungle for example. So I don't think it's that crazy. Seamus, way to go. Do I think the Season 5 change would made ALG have a team in Smite again? No, I think what was said on Twitter was that they literally won a tournament, so they were able to pay their bills. I'm not sure, though. Sellout? No. In fact, I'm wearing the clothing. I like to pay my fucking rent, so I have no problem supporting companies that I enjoy. A sellout is one who puts their morals aside to endorse things that they don't believe in. I'll never do that to you guys. I'll never do that to you guys. Anything that I endorse, whether it's Evie, the girl that puts on the opening music for the show, great friend of mine. I think she makes fantastic pop music. The clothes I wear, my Into the AM shit, I would never endorse something that's not good or bad just to make a quick buck. Not my style. And the idea that sellout is fucking lame, and I might ban you. Would I rather watch a clean top-tier boring SPL or lower-tier FunFest Cloud Fiesta game? In between. When you say a clean, top-tier, boring SPL game, that's like assuming, Space Station versus like a bad team. Now, it's no fun to watch a stomp. But the idea that good Smite is boring, I mean, it depends. I don't want to watch a complete Con Fiesta. I don't want to watch you Geb Jungle, and I don't want to watch you, play your Jean Kui ADC. I don't mind, and that's why I think watching the middle ground or the high end when players are really like Space Station versus LG, those games are fun. Space Station versus LG might be more safe than you want in a game, but you're still getting like high level plays. You're getting really intricate thought processes and jungle ganks and stuff. The middle players tend to show more personality. They're a little bit more adventurous with their picks and their strategy. So I think it's a little bit of those two. Let's see who's in Discord. We have Verbalocity. What's up, man? You're on FPL. How you doing today?
Hello there, F. Nice to hear you.
Nice to hear you too, man. How's things?
Not too bad. Actually, funnily enough, my question is regarding actually something happening in my corner of the world, Asia. I do a lot of the coverage for the Asian side of stuff. And it's got something to do with some of the themes you talked about today, funnily enough. And it's the idea of the shrinking gap of tolerance in teams that have differing personalities. Now, the reason I say that is because it recently became public knowledge, at least in the scene, that one of the big hallmarks or big names of the Asian, or specifically Bigatron, Dracula V, is no longer on Bigatron. And that is quite a big thing around the more relaxed player, and now that, of course, there's some big prizing, including a spot at Worlds for the Asian scene, or for whoever comes out on the top of this league, the split, they just like, all right, this team gets serious, you leave. And that leads into my actual question. Considering now in the actual big boy leagues, in NA and EU and in general now, there's actual salaries on the line. It's a lot more healthy all throughout the year to be a pro, especially if you get good winnings too.
Mm-hmm.
How many more teams do you think we may start cleaning out? Maybe getting rid of some of the more unintended picks or people they aren't gelling with, just to keep themselves on the top edge versus keeping people they gel with better, but maybe have less of a chance of success and are banking on the good synergy instead.
I think it's the opposite. I think that teams are going to be more willing to swallow their pride and deal with a jerk in order to see success. I think that you're going to see a scenario where, like, hey man, look, if we're at the top, we want to stay on the top, and we're gonna fight for that, because there is no relegation, like you said, so you can't just sort of like, oh, we scrubbed out, see you later. I think what you're gonna see is teams really looking to win, because I think there'll be more incentive behind that and everything. And the idea now, I don't want to speak what I don't know, so I'm not going to speak about Dracula V specifically here, but you're basically looking at a graph where player skill is your x-axis and player jerkitude is your y-axis, right? And you got to find that happy medium. How much of a jerk can you be versus how good are you?
Well, it's not even necessarily jerkitude. Specifically, like, Dracula he's a relaxed player. This specific example I cite. He's the guy who does the farming behind the tier 2 and in front of the Phoenix at 10 minutes in, Yanis solo that everyone really enjoys to see, you know. Southeast Asia games in general aren't exactly the highest quality. They are not Space Station LG. They're their own breed.
Right.
And it's not that. It's more like, this team wants to... You're too happy-go-lucky, pardon my bad Malay, but fuck off. That kind of style. It's not necessarily a case of you're a jerk, you want to leave. It's different personalities, necessarily.
Oh, yeah. In that case, I absolutely expect that. I think the people that don't take the game seriously will be left at the door. I think that the idea that Smite is an extracurricular activity, or, that's the wrong term. I think that Smite is an intramural activity has been outdated, but not necessarily to the players. There are players in this league of 16 teams that do not take Smite seriously, do not care about Smite. Maybe with the money that's changed, but I know for a fact that there are people who on pro teams and Smite is not their number one priority. Now, family and religion or whatever the fuck you want to say, but like realistically, they're like, oh, this is more important or that is more important, and that's all well and good. I'm not saying that's bad, but that is not what you want in your league. And as we go forward and we start to pay players, well, that should become their priority. And I think that the players that aren't in that position, that excuse me, the players that aren't sitting there saying that Smite is my number one priority, I think they will get filtered out.
So now that things are a little bit more serious now, you think that a lot of the wheat is going to be separated from the chaff in that regard. But I don't want to see all of the fun get meted out. And I think towards the mid sort of lower end, we're still going to have a lot of that fun stuff.
I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. I think that
so?
No, not at all. I think that Barracuda has a ton of fun. When I look at the guys on Energy, I think they have a ton of fun. Rival is the definition of fun. I think that taking the game seriously.
Only in certain scenarios, though, with Rival. How often do you see them have so much fun towards the online stuff? It's the lands like Valencia and then the super regionals where they go completely batshit insane and, pander to the crowd.
Sure. I think that's just Rival's thing. I mean, in an elimination game, they play Ares solo. So, right, that's at LAN. But I think even online, they're still doing their thing. I think that fun and taking the game seriously are not mutually exclusive.
Okay. I never really thought about it. I always sort of had the idea of, if you want to take this seriously, a little bit of your soul leaves. But no, that's another way to think of it. But yeah, I can see there's 3 people lining up in the waiting room, so I'm going to bugger off now.
Sounds good. Always glad to have you, Verbalocity.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Hell yeah, appreciate you, man. As Verbalocity, he works in the SEA region. You can catch him casting a little bit if that's what you want to see. We got Zimstar. He linked his article before, a previous coach in the SPL. longtime Smite guy in general, now moving on to other business-oriented things. But either way, somebody you should probably listen to. What up, Zimp? How you doing, man? Good to talk to you. I gave him the intro, and he can't even work a microphone. Fantastic.
Oh, here you go. Here you go.
What up, Simon? How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Just gonna install my new home in France, so living in the mountains right now in the Alps.
Hell yeah.
Doing great. I have a question for you, actually.
Shoot.
So, what do you think the implications are of the financial aid that Hybris will basically provide organization with in Season 5, and how do you think it will kind of change the landscape of competitive Smite?
I think that immediately we will see little to no change. I don't think that Season 5 opens up with Fnatic and Cloud9 and Unicorns of Love. I don't think that everybody comes running. I think that all investment opportunities, and you can speak to this, you kind of got to see proof in the pudding first. And I think that Hi-Rez makes this first move, and I think that we probably see one or two orgs jump in, right? And then as Season 6 comes or becomes closer, I think we have a lot more eyes as far as organizations are speaking. Viewership, I think viewership will go up as the season increases, as the season goes on, just because of the nature of the beast. I think that fans want a storyline. They want to be able to root for their team. Relegations is a bad look. You want to be able to watch Barracuda from January to January. That's part of sports. I mean, there are fans out there of whatever, I don't know European football too well, but whatever the worst team is, somebody's rooting for them, right? Whatever the worst team in the MLB, NBA, all of that shit, somebody is rooting for them. Like, that's a thing. You root for a bad team just because. And then maybe they get good. But the storyline of no relegations, I think, is a positive thing for the league. And I think the viewership will steadily increase. That will increase the eyes of people looking in, not only just organizations to get teams on, but I think a bigger picture, sponsors and other financial incentives to come out and say, hey, look, we like what you guys are doing. You're providing money to the teams. How can we get a cut of this? You guys are making this money. How can we get a cut? Can we give you money to make a cut of it as well? And I think outside investors and I think advertisers are probably the two biggest things that come, not Season 5 beginning, maybe the end and the beginning of Season 6.
Nice. So you mentioned sport teams, and I think the thing is, though, if you're looking at the bottom tier sport teams, a lot of times it's geographically bound. Like you probably root for a team because you live in that area, or you're kind of born into it. What are the incentives to follow a team in Smite right now, for example, that isn't doing that well?
Well, when it comes, yeah.
And a follow-up question naturally is how important are storylines?
I mean, storylines. That's people watch sport for the drama. I mean, people watch sport for the drama of the last second goal, as well as the drama of the terrible trade that their favorite team just made. You bring up what was that?
McGregor Mayweather is a good example, I guess, right?
Exactly.
The tension.
Yeah, I mean, Mayweather McGregor was much less a sporting event and much more a social event, right? And you see that in America with the Super Bowl, where like I don't watch the NFL until the last week, and then I know who's in the Super Bowl, and then I go eat nachos with my friends. Like that's what that comes down to. But touching your first one, regionalization is a very big part of what makes traditional sports so important in the hearts of fans. In that I am from New York, so I'm de facto a Yankee fan, a Knicks fan, and if I gave a shit about the football organization, I'd probably be Jets or Giants, right? And then as you get more invested into your league and the sport, and you can separate yourself from the regionalization and the fandom and go, okay, I really like the way X team plays or Y team plays, and that's where you go. But you do have an entry point. And I think if you look over to other leagues, I think if you look at the Overwatch League, that's why they're pushing that so hard. In fact, one of the things that I don't like too much about what OWL is doing, they're stripping teams of their original identity in order to create a brand new one. So Cloud9, whatever city Cloud9 represents, will have to create a new brand. And they're the Los Angeles, not Cloud9s, or the New York, not CLGs, right? And I don't think that's great, but the idea behind the regionalization is great because, I like this game, where do I start? Well, what we see is in Smite. Smite is a much more individual-driven league. And I think what happens is you get into Smite, and you start watching your favorite streamer, and your favorite streamer is Chapo. And Chapo is not on a great team, but you're still going to root for his squad because you like him. Weekend on ALG is the perfect example. Weekend is one of the biggest YouTube content creators in Smite. He is one of the bigger Twitch streamers, and his team, I have them marked down as 5 or 6. They're not going to be on the top end of things. So why would you watch them? Because you're watching Weekend, and that'll make you root for the rest of his squad. I think the same can be said about a Mighty Storm. Ozzy has a fair amount of fans. He streams, he's West Coast, he streams out of Colorado. He streams to 300 people a night. That number is going to grow because he streams every day. And he's a quote-unquote nobody. He's brand new to the league. He's been playing for maybe a split or two, and he's just starting to like consistently stream. People will know him. People will watch him. I think he will be on the worst team in the league. And I think he'll have fans because of that. So I think that regionalization is a big deal, and some leagues look at that. I think Smite will look at the individualism, and that's how fans sort of get involved there. As far as the follow-up question, I spoke too long and I forgot what you asked.
I think you kind of touched on both. So the last thing I want to touch on too is if you take someone like QFred. So okay, let's just start off with saying it's of course in high-res, whoever the whatever game or company we're talking about, it's in their best interest, right, to get players to build the storylines and build a fan base, so people tune in whenever QFred is playing. His fans will be watching,
Yep.
So for someone, let's say a QFred that doesn't stream, how much responsibility do you think lies in high-res in this case to help QFred grow his own personal brand?
Help, I think, is irrelevant. It's not that. I don't want to trivialize this. As a professional player, using QFred as an example, it is not that hard. QFred is one of the most celebrated players in the league, and he doesn't do anything. If he turns the stream on, if he has Smite, hits start streaming, QFred will have a couple of hundred viewers, period. Hi-Rez doesn't need to help him. He needs to do it himself. With that said, the money. Hi-Rez is giving $200,000 to the organizations. $150,000 of that has to go to the players. Part of that conversation will be a give and take. Hi-Rez gives, and they will receive as well. The team and the players will have to create content. I don't know how that's going to be divvied up. I don't know if it's like every player must make 2 videos a week or whatever it's going to be. But that's how essentially that side of things will be handled. Because I agree. I think that is important for players and teams to create content, to make themselves more visible, and thus make the fans have a reason to watch that team. Like we just talked about Uzi, we talked about Weekend. And so for the people that don't do anything out there, like I guess Energy, they're going to be forced into this sort of position. And what type of content is that? I'm not sure. I doubt Hi-Rez will dictate that, but I'm not positive. That will be up to the organizations, I'm sure. And it'll be a sort of thing where like, you just sort of got to do it. Like that's part of your job. And I don't think that is asking too much of the players whatsoever.
Cool, man. Okay, I'm going to leave some room for the people that, they don't have the blessing of having you on Facebook, so they're not able to talk to you every single day. So great answers, man.
Sounds good, man. Good to talk to you as always.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. That's Zimstar. Good friend of mine. Good Smite guy. Really good idea. Good stuff. Let's take a look. We got Archangel Kane. Welcome to the show, Archangel. You're on FPL. What's on your mind?
How you doing, man?
Not bad, not bad. How you doing?
This isn't necessarily about the SPL. This is more about like sort of the culture of the Smite community.
Sure.
We saw, I think it was it this week or last week that what was that guy's name?
Tyler One.
Tyler One, yeah. Got completely and utterly shit on by the worst parts of our community. I think, was it you that said that you separate the community of garbage people from the actual community? Was it you that said that? Sort of, yes. Now, my thing is a lot of, like, you see a lot of people claiming that Hi-Rez should be able to do something about this, that Hi-Rez should be able to sort of minority report and, like, prevent stuff like this from happening, even though everyone looks the same. There's thousands of reports, all that stuff, and I think it's like I would never defend those garbage people who did that to that person, but it's such an impossible task. You're trying to fix the internet. Blizzard can't do that.
Yeah.
And Blizzard, I think Overwatch is worse. Someone yesterday on Smite called me garbage. I was like, oh, you think? Really? Thank you, man. So not to be like all negative, like, oh, it can't be fixed. What do you think Hi-Rez can do that is positive? I'm on the side that there's not much.
Yeah.
What do you think they can do that's proactive?
I mean, it's really tough. If you go and you look at Tyler One's stream later on, he tried all of the MOBAs out there, and he had the same experience on all of the MOBAs. Just to answer the question, Tyler One is a very big streamer in the world of Twitch. He came from League of Legends, but he's one of those guys that gets 30,000 viewers. Okay? Now, I'm sure that some of the people harassing him were Smite players. I'm equally sure that some of the people harassing him in-game downloaded Smite, made an account, and camped him. It's just like you see Ice Poseidon go to events, right? And like randos follow him around just because he's a celebrity. That's what being online is like when you're a dude that gets 30,000 viewers. I mean, it's incredibly difficult. When it comes down to it, you see it. PUBG is going through this whole scenario where streamers are getting stream sniped. You are streaming to tens of thousands of people. Like, I mean, look at what happens translating it away from the internet. Celebrities go shopping and there's the paparazzi. When was the last time you saw Leonardo DiCaprio not be surrounded by cameras? Like, that's just a part of being somebody famous. Now, how do you, as a company, deal with this? I understand the desire to deal with it because 30,000 people watching your game is a positive. But realistically, how do you do it? You can't IP ban people that do this sort of thing because what if it's what if it's I have a little brother? What if my little brother is doing this and I am a upstanding citizen? And my little brother does this, they IP ban, and now I can't play the game even though I'm a nice guy, right? And then you talk about colleges and all that sort of thing. So you can't do that, right? I mean, I don't really know how you proactively, like, stop players from making accounts to... I don't know, which is why I don't work in those areas, I suppose. But do you have any ideas?
Well, I mean, did you ever see Minority Report?
Yeah.
All right. So we have to somehow guess that these are bad people from their name.
Right.
Somehow, some way. It feels pointless because you're talking about getting basically 4chan to behave. Good luck. Like, Blizzard bans thousands of accounts. These pieces of shit buy $60 accounts. Like,
yep.
And Smite's on a much smaller level. And it's hard because I saw that and I'm like, I mean, yeah, I think Ron Jobbert said in the chat, the guy hated the game before he even got sniped, which is unfortunate.
I thought he was liking it. I thought he was having a good time.
I think he was getting a bit impatient, but that's not the point. He was getting shit on constantly, and that was not his fault. But like, yeah, it's a really hard situation that can't be solved by simple ideas. And I see it constantly. Like, there was a horrible situation a couple months ago where somebody made a really horrific name I'm not going to repeat. And like, were we supposed to ban those words from being made into a name? How is that even possible?
Yeah.
Like, you can't, like, if you think you're able to guess that before it even happens, like, it makes no sense. But that was the big thing on my mind. I'm really excited for the SPL. Like, I'm glad this is going to be starting up again. And I'm really glad you're doing the show more often. Like, we need more people like you.
Hell yeah. I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, I wish for a world where I could, have all my windows here and Minority Report out, and it'd be dope if I could predict if you were going to be sniped or not, but I don't. Short of like employing 10 people to look at, because the amount of like accounts created a second, right? I don't know. I think it's a tall task at the end of the day. I'm not sure if. I
mean, Smite's pumping $2.4 million bare minimum into SPL, and now we have to hire 100 people to look at people using the N word. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you could, no, whatever. It's pointless. Nevertheless, yeah, that's all I want to talk about. I'm excited for the SPL. I'm excited for your casting. Thank you.
Hell yeah. I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much, Archangel Kane. Next up, we've got Arma Gamer coming on here. We'll see what he has to say. What's up, dude? You're on FPL. What's on your mind?
Hello, bud.
How you doing?
Fine, you?
Not bad, not bad.
Well, first of all, I want to say that it's a pleasure to talk to my favorite caster.
Oh, thanks, man.
Well, I have one question.
Shoot.
What do you think that happened in EU that they became so strong, and why is Senate struggling to catch up?
I think it's just one of those scenarios that you have the ups and downs, the ebb and flow of talent. There were stronger players in North America 2 years ago. Now there's stronger players, and the players that we saw, players like Variety, players like the guys on Titan, players like Cherio, they were not as good as the North Americans. The North Americans, and then over time, you see these guys spend more time playing against relevant people, more international tournaments, and all of a sudden these guys get better. Variety's one of the best players in the world now when I can show you VODs of him being a bottom tier player. It's just the ebb and flow, I think, of players learning. We have a new group of players in the SPL right now on North America soil. You look at the gatekeepers, you look at people like Ghost and Uzzy. 2 years from now, maybe they're the ones running the league, and Europe is playing catch up because they need new talent. So it's just, you've got these ups and downs that just naturally come as players play more and more Smite. So I think that's really the reason. I don't think it's that Europe is working harder or that they got Iron Brew over there. I think it's just the fact of the matter that talent pools come up and down.
Sure, yeah. But who do you think that is gonna win Worlds this year?
That one I don't know. I won't be able to say that for a while, but I think that Energy, Dignitas, Rival, oh man, there's so many people. I really want to see how the fall split plays out before I talk about that one.
Well, thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate you coming on. It's Arma Gamer right there. Next we have Super Dry Guy. I like this guy's name. Super Dry Guy. Welcome. You're on FPL. My guy. What's on your mind? There he is. What's on your mind, man?
Hey, man, how are you?
Not bad. I appreciate you coming on the show. What's up?
So I want to talk to you about Pain de Vion specifically.
Shoot.
I wanted to ask what you think about him. Is his play style going to be forced to change? His odd shot calling, specifically with the changes to the Gold Fury, the Fire Giant, and the Portal Demon kills, how they have that audio cue now. Do you think that's going to make it harder for him to make those calls and be successful? Or do you think it's going to make it actually a little bit easier for him so he knows that he can't go for the Fire Giant because it's down right now?
That's interesting. I don't think that any of those changes are going to make it harder for him. I think it's just a level of tension that other players are going to pay to him with respects to that. That said, I don't think that Pain de Vion finds success exclusively on odd shot calls, although that's certainly a part of it. I think Pain de Vion finds success in identifying young, unidentified talent and working with them in order to create a winning team. I think that's really where Pain de Vion is good at. When we look at people like Vedium, Benji, Verizial, etc., he brought them on the scene. Like, don't forget about that. And he did that before with players like Chaos, etc. So I think that, when we look at Pain de Vion, his X's and O's are part of his gameplay. And that might change and that might have to adjust because players are more aware of his gameplay style. But I think that his success is more dictated from how strong he is at building a team from the ground up and giving guys a shot that normally wouldn't have a shot.
Okay. And then another question. This is more regarding just supports in general in the league. How do you think like the older style, which is like the more aura support, do you think that's gonna should that take a hit, which I'm predicting it will because it's just so strong right now? If that takes too much of a hit, how much is that really going to affect the support role? How much are they going to be, having to adapt to everything and having to like the more aggressive support builds versus the more team oriented, such as like a Gib or something, where you're sitting in the back line defending your team, or going in like the Fafnir or the Terra. Well, not necessarily the Terras, but like the Fafnirs and the Bacchuses that you're diving in there. How do you think like that's gonna all shift around?
I think that I think what you're looking at is the itemization. I don't think the itemization and the playstyle are as related as some might think. The auras already took a hit. I mean, realistically, you're looking at not the old sovereignties of yesteryear. You're looking at Jade Crowns and Shogun's Kursari, which are aggressive builds, sure, but they're still Void Stone with health on it now. They're aggressive builds, but they're absolutely team oriented. And I think that the difference between your guardian, your true like peel guardians, your team guardians, and your aggro guardians, I think wind up just being what individual players you have on your team and what team you are. I think that if you've got a team with Polar Bear Mike, he's gonna be up in your face, and I think that if you have a team with Jigs, he's gonna be peeling for everybody playing Kepri. I don't think that items are gonna change that. I think that that's just one of the fun things about Smite is that both approaches are okay.
All right, thank you very much. I've got nothing else.
Hell yeah, thanks for having us. I really appreciate you, man. That's a super dry guy. Next up, we got Remski. Let's say what up to Remski. How you doing? You're on FPL.
Good.
What's on your mind?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. I just had some observation to make about something earlier you said in the stream about ALG.
Sure.
So when it comes to Oceans, I think he's always been this really aggro hunter, and we've seen that in the spring split and even the summer split.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to his pick of Carnunos and always trying to dive and solo the the other ADC. But I think that's going to mesh really well with Weekend as far as mid synergy, because Weekend's always been notorious for, I'm going to go after these kills and maybe then I'll farm,
Yeah.
And I think that if they can have that and synergize with Cyclone Spin at the same time, who Weekend and Cyclone already have had the synergy since season 2, I really think that it could elevate them higher and bring them to that level that Neo Ma and that oh god damn, I forgot his name.
I 100% agree with you. I think that Weekend is always looking for the kills. I think that I always, when I think of Oceans, I think of Anher. I think of the crazy plays that Anher made. He was a rookie on the scene. He soloed Zapman. He got a couple of crits, and people always talk about early crit and why that was a part of it. But he soloed some of the better hunters, and because Oceans, if you ever seen him, he's kind of a weird dude, but he's just very confident. And it's that quiet confidence that doesn't come off as arrogant. He's not out there saying like, "Yo, I'm the best." Zapman says one thing in chat. He never soloed me. What the fuck? But he comes through, and it's this quiet confidence, not this like, "Yo, I'm the best." Just sort of like, "Hey, what's up? I'm Oceans, and I'm pretty confident in my abilities." And I think that that sort of stoic presence will work well. I might have Zapman wrong. Now you're making me question it, but I really thought he pillar stunned him under the tower, got a lucky crit, and finished him off with another basic.
I remember that too.
I could have sworn it was Zapman.
Dude, I remember Vladam soloing Zapman at Worlds.
Now that one I'm not touching. Going back to Oceans though,
yeah,
I see him being that same quietly confident player in the middle lane with the help of Weekend. I think that'll be very strong. Was Cyclone Spin? Oh, right, he played Hunter for like a week. My bad, Steve. But I think that the move for Oceans to the mid lane, sure, it'll be good. I'm much more excited that Met Yankees going back to home in the Hunter position. I mean, I think that everyone who has an opinion on Smite watched Met Yankee in mid and watched Met Yankee in Hunter and goes, yes, he belongs there. So I think that Oceans will do well. I think that he'll be better than Met, but I'm much more excited about that Hunter change.
And just another observation, Weekend in Summer Split, especially in the set against Space Station Gaming, you saw how many objectives he stalled with that Robin.
Yeah.
If he can carry that over and him and Ocean combined, like you were saying about that stoic presence, the confidence Ocean has, Weekend just sort of motivates him in Cyclone Spin, and they can dominate with that. But it's all about the momentum, in my opinion.
I agree. At the very least, I'm excited to see what happens with ALG for sure. I think this is going to be a very important split for them and an important split for Weekend as well. So I'm excited, man. I think it's going to be fun to watch.
And just one follow-up question.
Shoot.
This is about you.
All right.
When it comes to Team Rival, I think I noticed a parallel between them and Energy, in that Rival seems like the type of team that all the players want to stick together.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best synergy for them. But in the way they're different from Energy is that when Energy came up and they were known as
Panthera.
God damn, it's the name of the Soul Skin. Yeah. But they were winning lands at season 2, and then that translated to the win at Worlds. And they sort of had even more momentum to go off. But when it comes to Rival, they're good, but it's always that last home stretch. Like, especially at the Summerland, like, you could tell by the last game they were tired. Like, they just had enough.
And that's a part of growing into it. I'm sorry, finish your question.
And so it just makes me think, will they still stick together, and still will they have a higher learning curve essentially than what Energy had to go through in season 2?
They absolutely will stick together. Thanks a lot, Remsky. I appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks for all your questions.
All right.
I absolutely.
Yeah.
What happened? Oh yeah, okay. I absolutely do think that they're going to stick together. No question. I talk to the guys behind the scenes, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying that. These guys 100% believe in each other. They believe in staying together as a team. They have fun as a team, and that's a big part of what allows them to be successful, I think. With that said, I do think that they will not be as successful as Energy as quickly as Energy was. We've already seen them. They spent a whole year as Cyclone and spent a whole year ramping up, where Energy did not spend anywhere close to that amount of time. I think that the level of natural talent on this team is probably either lower or buried under more stuff than it was on Energy. And so as this team goes forward, I think that they will probably need more time to reach the level of Energy if they ever do. But I think that Rival collapses as a team before they make roster changes or whatnot. So I absolutely see them staying together. Next up, we have username 8 billion. What up, 8 Billy? I appreciate you. You're on FPL. What's good?
Sorry if I ramble on for too long. I had that problem. So I have two questions. One, oddly enough, about Rival and about Energy. Actually, not about those teams, but rather teams like those that stick together. Since in Season 5, there won't be any more relegations. There won't be a chance for those teams that stick together to rise up to the FPL. Do you think that is a sacrifice, in between quotes, worth making?
All right, yeah, okay. See, I see what you're saying. Your mic's kind of funky. I'll be able to answer this question, but I'm gonna cut you off here. Thanks so much for your contribution. 8 Billion's always watching the stream. That definitely was an iffy mic. But basically, what 8 Billion asked, if you guys couldn't get it, was teams stick together, like we see Rival and Energy, the Poppies. Is that better or is that worse than actively making role changes? If I got that wrong, let me know in chat. But I think that's essentially what he's asking. And I think that that's a question that can't be answered as a one-size-fits-all. I think that's a sort of question that depends on the team. When you look at Rival, I think that they have to stick around. I think they're a team that has to be a unit in order to succeed. What Deathwalker does with Ares solo doesn't happen if Wolfie doesn't trust in him, Ice Baby doesn't play well with the left side of the map, and Collis doesn't play his selection that he plays and goes right next to him. That doesn't happen unless they're a unit. So I think when you're looking at teams like Rival, yeah, it's absolutely important. Teams like the Poppies, completely disagree. I think that when you watch the Poppies and you see their jungle and their support player, Dalo and Draco Marino, you're looking at two players that can succeed on virtually any other team. So I think that you're looking at a situation where the answer to that question is scenario specific. The Poppies succeed if they drop their solo laner and maybe their mid. Warchi, Delo, Draco Marino, those three can create a team and go forward. Delo and Draco Marino can leave right now and join an SPL team. But I think that when you're looking at these sort of squads, it's very individual. It's very it depends very much on how the team got so successful. Next up and final is going to be Wumbles. Wumbles, welcome to the show. You're live on FPL. What's on your mind?
I have a few questions. One, Trifecta picking up Aurora. They looked amazing at regional, or not regionals, the Invitational with Aurora, Kiki, all those people. They had all that synergy together, but they dropped Yannick.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that specifically?
I like the change. Excuse me. I like the change to Aurora a lot. I think that he'll synergize well with Kiki, etc. But also, I think that the mentality that he brings to the squad fits better with what Snoopy does and wants to do. And I think that the way these guys will play together it'll be a positive. Leaving Yannick is tough, but I think Aurora is one of the guys that can fill his shoes, if anybody.
Okay. Another effect is you placed them third place in NA. I found that a bit off. They performed. I think it's arguably the best NA team in at regionals or finals in Valencia.
I would agree there.
Okay, so I know there's like the star power. There's like the Jeff Hinlas. There's the Zapmans. Space Station Gaming's got a bloated roster. Why do you place them third?
I think that Space Station Gaming off of Zapman and Jigs, Zap and Jigs have played together for a long time, casually and off of the SPL. These guys are two dudes that understand each other. When we talk about synergy and you know Aurora being able to play well with Snoopy, Zap and Jigs are cut from the same cloth, and the extension to the rest of the team. I still question the Scary D pickup, and
I 100% agree.
I'm not sure about that, but I always say that as a commentator, there are things that when a change is made that's so ridiculously backwards seeming, that means there's something you don't know. And I think that dropping Final K for Scary D is one of those scenarios where it makes zero sense. But if it makes when it makes that little sense, there's something out there. He played well with the squad or something. It's a different world. So while I do question the Scary D pickup, one, they can always change out. There are still a couple of solo laners out there. I don't know if Zap and Divios play well together, but Final K can always come back, right? They can always be like, our bad, you know, and I don't think that's an issue. But again, just going back to Zap and Jigs, I think that duo lane is going to be one of the best duo lanes we've ever seen in the Smite Pro League. And I think that Zap, leaving a lot of the negative stuff behind that people attributed to him with Eager, leaving a lot of the responsibility behind that he had to deal with Eager, he's just going to be able to be classic Zapman, which is a player that ran the league. Zapman has the potential to be LeBron James. And it's been a long time since we've seen that. And admittedly, I'm not as close with Steve as I used to be. But between watching his streams, seeing what he does, and him being able to play with Jigs, there's something to be said about how your internal thought process and how essentially happy is the grandest oversimplification, but how happy you are inside will make you better at whatever it is you do. Zapman does Smite. I think Zapman's in a much better position mentally, and I think that will translate to the game, and I think the addition of Jigs will just make it even more so. I think that Zapman will be one of the bigger shakeups of the season. And then when we look at LG, I think the same is said about LG as a unit with Aquarius. I think Aquarius has been one of the overlooked players in the league. I think him coming in over Scary D is a fantastic step in the right direction. And while I do think the Trifecta has Aurora and Kiki to look at, I think that it's more predictable to say Space Station LG Trifecta, but there is a Joker. Trifecta is the Joker card, and we don't know where they'll wind up. I think it's very safe to say that Space Station and LG on paper are the better teams, but Trifecta is a team that can explode, sure. But like I said, the duo lane of Space Station scares me, and this is the first time that LG has not had to carry a team out of their duo lane. People like Scary D held this team back. People like Xenotronics held this team back. And LG's duo lane, Jeff and Barra, had to overextend and sometimes hurt their team and hurt themselves in order to find wins or even salvageable games. Now that Barra and Jeff don't have to do that, I think LG as a unit is much more scary.
Okay, one more question before I let you go. Who would you have preferred to see Space Station Gaming pick up over Scary D? I know there was a few options like Divios and all of that. Like I said earlier in chat, there's a lot of big egos on that roster, and we all know Divios, huge ass ego.
Sure. I don't know why they moved away from Fine OK. That's I don't know the ins and outs of that team. Literally anybody but Scary D. I guess if Fine OK really had to go, I don't see it. So that's why I'm chalking it up to there's something they know that I don't, because I watch the games. I watch every single game.
Single game of Scary D play, and he's just not at the level Fine OK was playing at or anybody.
Because I tweeted out when that happened. And DM Brandon, whose opinion I respect, was like, nah, man, you're totally wrong. Like, take a look.
Respect DM.
And so I went back and I watched the games from the fall split. And there are games, the slash line's all improved. He's 5-1-3. He's 4-2-6. But then you watch him, Osiris ult into 4 people, start a fight, and then they lose because there's no front line. I see him make the poor decisions. And maybe we're coming up to the truth right here. On a team like Space Station Gaming, right? When you look at Space Station Gaming, when you look at Jigs, when you look at Zapman, when you look at Homie FA to his extent, when you look at Andy, maybe they're able to play Scary D like an RTS.
You mean nurture them more than LG did, kind of, with Bear and them carrying them, or
I know. I mean, like, because Scary D is a fine player. I just think his decision making is miserable. I think if they're just like not nurture him, but just use him, like, hey, go there, stand there, build this, do that. Yeah, I think
do
if
you
they're
think the big egos will work well with that then?
Yeah, I don't really. When Eager was created, you were looking at Zapman, Divios, and DJ Pernicus, and the best. All have big egos. I think Eager was one of the better teams that we've seen. I don't think that the idea of big ego, I think the idea of big ego is overblown. These guys are confident dudes, but I don't think Steve is gonna. I don't think Zapman or Jigs or Andy or Homie or Scary D sit there and go, "I'm not doing that because I think I'm better." That's not realistically how that plays out. And also, I think having whatever you want to call it, ego, steadfast, like decision, whatever it is, strong-minded players is probably the better way to say it. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing together. I think that is sometimes an overblown thought process, especially when you look back at successful teams.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much. Look forward to your cast on Saturday.
Hell yeah.
Can't wait for SPL, dude.
Mad excited. Thanks again for coming on the show. That's Wumbles. Definitely appreciate everything. I appreciate you guys in chat as well. 8 billion bought a new headset right then and there. And I appreciate you guys. Today we talked a little bit about the upcoming season. That'll be starting this Saturday. You're going to want to tune into Hi-Res TV for that. We talked a little bit about the caster as well. That's tomorrow, 5 p.m. You're definitely going to want to see that as well. And you're going to want to pay attention to everything else SPL. As always, I appreciate everybody coming in through the chat, all the new subs, the people that toss money down. Shout out to the sponsors as well, Into the AM, intotheam.com. You can buy this very shirt, actually. Use code FDOT, save yourself 10% and put some money in my pocket. That's always good. Shout outs to Evie, the girl on the tracks, starting the show. Hey, I need somebody to shut the stream off. Usually I shout out the guy that sits there, but he literally left. I can't even. Hey, guy. There There he is. Shout out to our man Tyler on the ones and twos and everybody else that helps out. We appreciate y'all. And I'll catch you next time. Peace out.